want to finish with two important points. Has Masonry infiltrated the church? Well, from everything I've read and studied, I think you could say communism certainly has. But Masonry is a different point. There's a lot of people accusing John the 23rd and Paul the 6th of being Masons. They can't be, because that would mean the church is not infallible, because the church has canonized them. John the 23rd and Paul the 6th have been canonized, and there's no evidence of either of them being Masons. You know, we have a promise from Jesus that the gates of hell will not prevail against the church. Jimmy Akin and I think it was Trent Horn, or can't remember who the other one was, have spoken about this vehemently. Tim Staples. And I'm going to quote Tim Staples here. Tim Staples said, Vatican I, so even if you don't believe in Vatican II, Vatican I said infallibly that there has to be perpetual successors of St. Peter on the throne in Rome. This means until the end of time. If Pius XII was the last, then there is not valid successors, and the gates of hell have prevailed. Does that not mean that we can't have horrible choices, decisions from the highest ranks of the church? Yes, we can. Why some bishops have been appointed to be cardinals that don't stand up for church teaching, and other bishops like Cordileone and others who have stood and defended church teaching with their lives have not been appointed? I have no idea. AA 1025 said, I do believe there's agendas even inside the church. Who was it? John the 23rd said the smoke of Satan has entered into the church. And think that he may, for any reason whatsoever, join the Masonic sect if he values his Catholic name and his eternal salvation as he ought to value them. Wow. Wake-up call. Leo the 13th went on. He said, Masonry is intrinsically a false religion to replace Jesus, and no man can join the Masonic sect. Their chief dogma is at odds with reason and is perverse because it goes against what God himself established. This is Satan himself inflamed against Christ. It attacks the papacy. These are the words of Leo the 13th. There was a Confederate general. It was a deep Mason, Albert Pike. He referred to the papacy as, quote, a deadly, treacherous enemy, and wrote, this is a Mason now, the papacy has been for 1,000 years the torture and curse of humanity, the most shameless impostor. It is in its presence to spiritual power, in its pretense to spiritual power of all ages. Anti-Catholic. A stern prohibition with excommunication was included in the 1917 Code of Canon Law. Now, there's been a mistake in understanding, because when the new Code of Canon Law came out in 1983, it did not mention Masonry by name. But guess what Cardinal Ratzinger did? Cardinal Ratzinger, with the approval of John Paul, made a statement as the head of the CDF, the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith, in November 1983. Let's read it. Our next slide. This is Ratzinger. The church's negative position on Masonic associations therefore remains unaltered, since their principles have always been regarded as irreconcilable with the church's doctrine, so membership remains forbidden. The faithful who enroll in Masonic associations are in a state of grave sin and may not receive Holy Communion. was after they removed the word Mason from the Code of Canon Law 1983. Ratzinger jumped right on it. And he said, I need to clarify this. And says you can't be a Mason or you are in a state of grave sin. You can't receive Holy Communion. So the church has condemned Freemasonry and the other secret societies at least 53 times since 1738. 53 times. As a priest, it is my duty, my obligation to teach this.